Welcome to the Self-Healing Podcast. We're so glad you're here with us. I'm Michelle Richards and I have my good friend Suka Kun with me, and we're your hosts. We can't wait to dive in and share our own personal stories of self-discovery and healing. This podcast is all about connecting, sharing and growing together. We'll be opening up about some of the challenges we've both faced and the healing modalities that have helped us along the way. Our goal is to help support you in freeing yourself from those limiting beliefs, healing old traumas, and living a life full of freedom.
And in today's episode, we're kicking things off by sharing a bit about our own journeys and how this self-healing circle came to be. So grab a cup of tea and get comfy and join us on this beautiful journey of healing and transformation. So let's heal, grow, and live our best lives together.
Awesome. Wow, we're really doing it. So I've got to say, just to start off, I am a little bit nervous, but I think mostly that's excitement that we're finally doing something that we're so passionate about. So I feel like to kick off this episode, we should really share a little bit about our backgrounds, how we connected and how the self-healing circle started. So to start with, my journey started being a health and fitness coach. And this beautiful woman reached out to me when she was seeking some help with weight loss, health. So she reached out and that's how we first connected. So Soko, why don't you share with us, where were you at that stage of your life and what made you reach out to me?
Well, mate, that was, I feel like it was only like yesterday, but it was a long time ago. I think probably a good 6 years ago perhaps. I had a food business and I was in hospitality and high pressure job. So for me, we had a culture of just drinking after work, and the drinking became a lot of it became a problem because I found myself hunched over in a corner with some gut issues, and I really needed to get help because the more I kept drinking, this problem kept reoccurring, and that's when I realised I needed to get some help. But I didn't realise that I needed to get help until I also looked at myself in social media pages where I was posting myself up there and I wasn't actually happy with my aesthetics. I had put on so much weight and I really wasn't happy within myself. So in turn, I had to look externally for, help. And that was, the first step was to lose some weight. And divine intervention, I actually met someone that referred me to you. And that's how it all started. So I signed myself up on a 12-week challenge and there I was in your office and getting my pinches done, which I had no idea what, at the time. And I went to learn on how to build strength, lose weight, eating nutritionally, and also curbing some of the old habits of drinking.
And you did amazing over those 12 weeks. You achieved wonderful results, and I remember the health benefits that came from that. And naturally, I think when we're making progress, we generally want to take our goals to the next level. So we finished the 12 weeks and Soko decides she wants to set a goal to compete. And at that stage, I was no longer coaching comp clients, which I'll share as well. But I guess maybe that's a really good opportunity for me to share. Around that time, one of the reasons I had sort of moved away from coaching competitors was because I was finding it a little bit conflicting at that time. I was moving more in the direction of wanting to help people, heal their bodies, working with hormones and gut health and a very more holistic approach. But one of the reasons for myself, I was still sort of healing my relationship with competing, because if I were to go back 10 years ago, I had been competing 6 years straight, season after season. And what started off as a healthy goal, I wanted to, challenge myself. I wanted, to really exercise that discipline and, push myself out of my comfort zone. I have always been very health conscious, but naturally with competing, you are taking your body to places that are quite stressful for your body. So, for 5 years, I didn't have a period because I maintained a very lean physique. And at this point in my journey, in 2014, I sort of hit sort of the high point of my journey where I won the all-females IFBB. I got chosen as one of the competitors to represent Australia at the Arnold's in Spain. And at this point I thought, wow, okay, like I've been coaching myself up till now. I felt I needed to find a coach that was coaching athletes at that level. So I found a coach and I was under his guidance, and, I got dieted really hard. And really, I think the breaking point for me was I'm in Spain the night before my show. My coach has recommended to take a pharmaceutical diuretic. I've never taken any anabolics or really anything to get lean because I've not really struggled in that area, but my coach has recommended to take this. And even though intuitively it really went against my values, at this point I'm competing at a level where I feel like I've just got to do what needs to be done. Like, I have this pressure on me. I'm representing my business because a big part of what I did was coaching other athletes. So yes, I take it. And if anyone had looked at me, you would see I was not holding any water. So I was like a rake at this point. Like if anything, I probably should have kept some fluid. But obviously you're distorted in how you're seeing yourself. So you're just desperate to improve and just give your best for that day. And naturally, everything has a repercussion. So come the day of comp, I've just flushed every little bit of water, all my minerals. So my body is cramping like crazy. So I'm trying to walk to the venue. My legs are cramping. It's now time for me to be on stage. I'm posing and my legs are seizing, and it was devastating to think that all that hard work to get there and I can barely even present myself properly.
And you're representing Australia.
I know. There was a lot of
South
pressure.
Australia as well.
Yeah, which, I'm proud of. But, my legs were cramping so hard, I actually ended up tearing my inner thigh muscle. So I'm coming home after this experience just, it really halted me. Like having something like that happen, I couldn't get back to the gym. It's like the universe just said, you just need to just remove yourself, retreat a little bit, go inward and really self-reflect on where are you right now? And I just had in that reflection time and just looking at what have I done to my body? I embarked on this journey, because I was really health conscious. And now how have I gotten so far off track where I'm doing something so stressful to my body? And that's when I just realized, I just felt like comps, don't get me wrong, comps are great. And I've since revisited competing, as we know. But if you've got some things inside of you, if you're susceptible to, identifying yourself with your body or seeking validation outside of yourself, comps are just going to magnify some of those things. So I'm really grateful for that process, because obviously it made me realize wow, I'm really identifying with my physique. My identity is entwined with this. My business, my physique is now a pin-up board of my
And look,
business.
I came into it because I saw you on your Instagram pages, and I thought, I want to be like, Michelle. Yeah. I want to look like her. She's absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and your page was, presented so well. But I didn't understand the comp world until I started to embark on it. Once I finished my 12-week
experience.
No, but you talk about the struggles, and the struggle is the pain point where you start making decisions for yourself, where I think you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Competing is pushing yourself outside, physically out your comfort zone, but the mental part is the thing that we find out sort of either during the journey of comp prep, and then coming out of comp prep, there's also this other journey that you kind of go, oh my God, I hadn't, and like you said, it magnifies all those things that we didn't look at or weren't aligned with during that time. So for me, it was still the eating, and the pressure of, trying to maintain the weight, or, and not understanding, there is a limit to to stopping that, or because
that
otherwise you
discipline
blow
can go
out
too far. And the relaxedness,
and the relaxedness of it, and the celebrations around food. So drinking became the thing back again. Oh, I've competed and oh, let's celebrate, and the celebrations went on for weeks. You know,
it's like rewarding yourself.
And then before you know it, you're back on this wheel, this mouse wheel that you can't seem to get off. And I think this is where my journey started with the self-healing, and I didn't realise I was actually on this journey. Was this something that you had to also go through once you went through the comp phase and then going into it again?
Yeah, like I think I'm so grateful for competing and probably getting really consumed and obsessed, because I think if I hadn't gone that far with it, it probably wouldn't have magnified like the deeper layer of some of those limiting beliefs I had, or some of those inner, like I guess childhood wounds of where you're just trying to get the world to accept you, or you want to seem desirable, or you want to seem good enough. And I think comps was like a vessel to try to superficially or like externally fill those voids I had inside of me. So when I removed myself from comps for a while, look, I was on a journey I felt like I was trying to find my soul, because I felt I'd been so consumed in this very superficial, ego-feeding world. And that's when I went on like silent meditation retreats and yoga retreats. I just needed to be in a bit of solitude. I was really had lost, and I think in your 20s, you don't even know who you are. Yeah. So I think we're so impressioned by society, what we're seeing on social media, and we just want to fit in.
Yeah, social media is huge, isn't it?
That's a really big one. Yeah, and like seeking
you start
that.
Comparing yourself.
Massively,
are you good enough? Yeah. Are you worthy of,
And even like, the images you put up, like you're finding your self-worth in how much likes you get or how much people are commenting. And I guess the sad thing is, like, in those earlier days, like, the more skin you show, the more you sexualize your body in a way, like, that's got more attention. So you were, like, feeding that. Yeah. And I'm so glad the work I've done to, like, I did have to remove myself for a time to really find myself and really get back in alignment with what my core values are, and also trying to heal those parts of me that were trying to find love and acceptance outside of myself. And I really just had to untangle my identity from my body. And I'm so grateful for that. And having kids, I think, played a really strong role in that. So much so that, 7 years ago, like I did have breast implants, which I did have them done to do better in the bodybuilding world, which blows my mind, the things we're willing to do to our body just to do well. Or I decided then, once I became aware of, some of the health effects that can happen from implants, like, I didn't think twice about it. I might just get them out. So I think that was a really big celebration of, like, I honor myself more than who I am inside, and my health more than my physical appearance. And that was, like, really just taking my power back of knowing who I am and finding my self-worth inside, and no longer trying to seek it outside of me.
Yeah. And with all that research that you did on the breast implants, you've also encouraged other women around you who were identifying them, the illnesses or their some of the health symptoms around it too. So you built a community already around the fitness side of things and health, that even others that were looking up to you were also starting their healing journey. Yeah. And I know a few women have, started that. Yeah. But also with me bouncing back into drinking again and putting on the weight, that's when I came to you, and we started some really inner healing and some work there. But I think it started because there was an awareness around it. Yeah. I think once you, and unless you're conscious of the healing, or if you're conscious of these problems, I don't think people really understand that you just end up going back on that mouse wheel and you don't actually become aware of it. Yeah. So we started
doing some hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming. So while soccer was competing in the background, I had started to, for this reason that we're sharing, is like I was helping women like with diet plans and weight loss programs and even health programs. And I just realized like, yeah, okay, people can achieve great results. And like we always say, comps is like dangling the carrot. When the carrot's not there, you're not sustaining the lifestyle changes. So people always tend to rebound from what we've seen. They're not consistently making these lifestyle changes. And then that's when I realized like I want to go further in helping people. And what I was noticing is a lot of eating is emotional, is habitual, it's conditioning from childhood, how you grew up.
Really getting to the root cause of the actual problems.
Yeah, like your relationship with food growing up. So I realized this is some deeper work. Like consciously you can hold yourself with willpower so far, but unless we're changing our subconscious programmings where all our beliefs and all of that are stored, people tend to always default back to what their, old habits are. So that's when we, Sokka was actually my first client doing hypnotherapy.
I had no clue, but I thought you were brilliant.
Thank you. I'm so glad because you were so wonderful to work with, and it really helped my confidence because I saw you get so much out of it, and obviously it did something for you that hit a chord of lit something in you that you wanted to then further your own education in that area.
I knew the feeling I remember coming out of those sessions with you was I felt empowered and I felt so much lighter mentally as well. I didn't feel there's just becoming aware of myself was one of the biggest things that I took from that. And then I remember asking you, where did you learn all this?
Yeah.
And, I went and obviously ended up doing the same course that you did, and I knew how much it was going to help so many others, especially the ones closest to us is our friends and our family.
Definitely.
So no thanks to you, here I am. We're spreading the word of healing,
and it's been so nice having a close friend that is wanting to do the self work as well, because sometimes it's a lonely journey. And it's a very confronting journey, and it's not always, it has its challenges, especially when you're changing and your values are changing and how you want to honour yourself changes. Sometimes some friends and relationships aren't in alignment anymore. Like we do create a really beautiful space together where even if we're working through problems, like taking radical responsibility, like we don't indulge each other in victim stories. We help each other like inquire into things rather than just blaming the outer world. It really is about going in and holding space for each other to identify if something's triggering you, then there's something inside of you that's a little bit wounded or hurting that needs to be healed. And it's so beautiful to have friendships that can hold that sort of space for you.
Absolutely. And, it's not there's different friends. You've got the gossip friends, and then you've got the friends that actually are willing to find the solution. Yeah. And you notice the difference in how, how you speak, the negativity, you get drawn to the positivity, in others. And you were definitely that, driving force to keep pushing myself even to become a better person. And the negative, friends, you kind of then look into it with a curious lens. You kind of go, oh, I wonder why they're feeling that way, or and then we start. That's where I think we start really more so opening our lens even further to see what else can we do to shift the mindset of others. And
that's big. Yeah. And I guess maybe one thing we can share is, how do you know if everyone needs to do some healing? None of us are perfect. I think we've all had different traumas, different stressful events that have happened in our life that have programmed us to see the world in a certain way or react to things in a certain way. But I guess some of the signs that we tend to see people that maybe there is a lot of internal stuff that can be brought to the light to obviously transcend is things you might notice is, if you are, I was really guilty of people pleasing a lot when I was younger. I felt my energy was very sensitive to people and I felt very drained. If you're someone that, deals with confrontation a lot, if you sabotage yourself a lot, procrastination is another one, that can all be inklings of fear or failure, or there's generally some very deep-seated core beliefs that are making you react to the world in a certain way. So there's some of the things that we tend to see that can be a telltale sign that, doing some work is so valuable.
100%. looking for, validation of others and getting others to make us feel happy as well is another thing that I was also looking in relationships. I was making sure that my partner was fulfilling my happiness, but in actual fact, but in actual fact, it's actually us that needs to work on ourselves to sort of validate ourselves and make ourselves happy before we,
It's the only way we can have healthy relationships.
So once we started, doing the work, I think together, and on the mindset, and we also looked into breath work because we felt, I think one of our first sessions that we sessions
so
we
powerful.
went to, it was so powerful. I think the breath work was also the next level for us.
Somatic body release.
The fight and flight mode that we also felt in our bodies that we couldn't. You could release it mentally, but I think the physical part was the thing that was the most powerful.
Yeah. And it just showed like we lock so much trauma and every emotion that you've ever suppressed, that you haven't had a healthy space to just express that emotion, feel that emotion, complete the full cycle of the emotion and come back to a state of like harmony. That means it's repressed somewhere in the body and in the nervous system. So even with hypnotherapy and a lot of those, even like just therapies in general, it's bringing a lot to conscious awareness, which we know is like such a important step. And we can bring that stuff to our conscious awareness where we start to like be mindful and aware of our behaviors and our triggers and our reactions. However, if the body's not having like a somatic like feeling release of purging a lot of that repressed material out, it actually is not completing that healing cycle. So there's so many elements to healing that can make it
because our body is automated. Whatever the mind thinks, the body just follows in automation mode. So if it's automatically to go grab that glass of wine and drink it, it's going to do that every Friday. It's an automated thing every Friday. You go, Friday drinks, I'm going to have a drink. So then we're not actually really dealing with the problem, are we?
And you can fight things for so long, like use your will, but that's really draining. You just want to recondition yourself. You want to have a different relationship to that glass of wine. You want to break those habits and recondition new ones.
It's so familiar, and the body goes into familiarity. And so the breath work was definitely a shift in so many ways, and I think that's why we're so passionate. And this is how far we've come. Like, I can't believe we're actually here.
I know.
Now.
And we're actually doing it because there's been times where we've wanted to start and we've, different life circumstances. So I think things are aligned, and we're also facing our own fears of putting ourselves out there, like allowing our voices to be heard, judgment to be, but I think the more like stable you are inside of yourself, the more you're willing to put yourself out there, because that's always been one of my things that have held me back. So,
Sorry, I mean, but being in this space, like we've often had these amazing conversations, and I was like, just imagine if you were a fly on the wall and you just actually heard some of the things, some gold, realizations and, tips that, what if another listener was able to listen in on our conversation? They could probably grab something from it. We're not, psychologists or anything, but this is us sharing our, journey. And if there's any tidbits that we can share or our experiences that can probably help somebody out there, just know that this space is really safe. And
that's so
we like to have also Q&As with people and get them to come and share their stories, or we could probably give a little bit insight to our lives as well. I think we're ready for that now, aren't we?
Totally. Bring it on. So if you do have any questions or any particular areas that you would like us to explore in more detail, send them through to our Self-Healing Circle Instagram page. But really, this is just our first intro, sharing who we are. We hope that we have connected to some part of you, or some part of this really resonates with you. But we are so excited for our future episodes to dive deeper into different areas that have helped us and different healing modalities.
And we'll start to really unpeel those layers.
Get very vulnerable.
So you will start knowing us probably a little bit more intimately, maybe not too intimately.
Sleep your clothes on.
Yep.
But until next time, heal, grow, shine, and we can't wait to see you. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.